an extra $1,080 tax refund this year. You're going to see these headlines flying all around news sites at the moment and on social media. Today I unbunk this and explain what the LMITO actually is in relation to the Federal Budget 2021. Hello everyone, my name is Ethan Rushock and welcome to another episode here on my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the $1,080 LMITO, so the low and middle income tax offset. Now the reason for this is the Australian federal budget was handed down earlier this week. So this is the budget that outlines for the next 12 months, and there's always different tax changes and super changes and change to government spending. So you can see my live video I did the other day on my channel. Check that out for a full breakdown of what was in the budget. But today I'm just going to focus on one particular thing, and that's the extension of the LMITO, and talk about what it actually means and why some of the headlines you see are a little bit misleading. Now, if you do have any questions about anything in the budget, make sure you leave them in the comments and I can do another video on them, or I can answer it in my live next week. And make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're new here and hit that like button. It really helps me grow this channel. Anyway, let's get into the video. So the LMITO stands for low and middle income tax offset, and it's an offset that helps low and middle income earners. Now, the reason this is being talked about is it was meant to end on the 30th of June 2021, but in this year's federal budget, it's been extended for another 12 months, so it now won't end until the 30th of June 2022. Now, this was all a part of a range of different tax reforms that they were doing that are going to be rolled out over the next few years, but then COVID come along, so they changed a few things. So this came in last year, and it was heavily promoted that everyone would be getting extra tax refunds. So I'll bring up a little bit of a table here of the LMITO. So as you can see, from $0 to $37,000, it's a $255 offset. From $37,000 to $48,000, it's $250 plus then a portion of your income. And then from $48,000 to $90,000, it's the $1,080. And then it phases out between $90,000 and $126,000 to once you earn over that $126,000, the offset is zero. So the big question is, will you get extra tax back? And probably not. And let me explain why. Because it's not necessarily a bad thing. This is a good thing. But let me explain why maybe you're not going to get that extra $1,000 back in your tax return that you're expecting. So I'll start with the 2021 year. So this is the year that we're currently in that is going to be finishing on 30th of June 2021. And for this year, because this was announced previously and it's already existing, is that this has likely been factored into your tax return already by the withholding you have each week on your wage. So the tax tables are updated with the aim of hopefully getting someone back to a pretty much a net zero position. So you would be having slightly less tax withheld this year likely because this is in place. So therefore, when you lodge your return this year, don't expect to get an extra $1,000 back because you've likely been getting approximately that extra $20 a week in the hand, so that you've had that ongoing rather than in one lump sum at the end. So that's where the headlines are really misleading because they're promoted as, oh, you'll get an extra $1,000 back this tax time, which that's not even true because this is talking about next year anyway, and also it's likely been withheld through the year. Now, this particular measure that they've announced is more in relation to the 21-22 tax year, which is next financial year, starting from 1st of July 2021. And again, because it's been announced in advance, this will be likely to be factored into the tax tables and you'll have that offset withheld through the year. So while it's not technically the offset, but it's just factored into the overall tax table, and therefore you won't expect to get suddenly an extra $1,000 tax refund next year. So that's something to be considerate of, is that a lot of these offsets, if they're announced in advance, the tax tables adjust because the goal is to have the right amount of tax withheld each week, and therefore you come out approximately even just based on a normal wage with no deductions or no businesses, for instance. Now, the reason this is actually really good is because you would have actually been taxed at higher rates next year, starting from 1st of July, if this offset was removed. So by keeping this in place, it means that your tax rate should stay the same because you're getting the same offset, the tax tables aren't changing this year, so your rate of withholding should stay pretty much the same. Now, it's a little bit more complex on why all this is happening because there's the low income tax offset, so it can get a little bit confusing. And then COVID kind of changed things and changed what the government's long-term plans with the tax tables were. But eventually this will all happen. So keep your eye out in the next couple of years for the budget because the tax tables are changing around a bit more. So it is something to keep your eye on. And some of these offsets I think will continue to alter. And the last thing is this will be factored into your return when it's lodged. Don't expect an extra $1,000 to come as a separate transaction because I know I've had a bit of confusion when I've spoke to clients last year. They were expecting to get $1,000 on top of their already return. So that's not how it works. So I hope that's helped. Do a bit of your own research. Don't believe all the headlines you read. And if you need help, ask your accountant. I thank you for being here, and I'll talk to you again on the next video.